Welcome, prime units, medtechs, and regressives. This is a sterile area called episode 24 of the Dudley Simpson Is Doctor Who project. In case there is any fear in your heart and doubt in your mind at this awesome moment, let me remind you that this episode is guaranteed free of green slime. After successfully merging synthesizers, electric keyboards, and acoustic instruments in his season 10 scores, Dudley Simpson was forced to make some adjustments starting in season 11, which would be Jon Pertwee's last season. Largely for reasons beyond Doctor Who, the radiophonic workshop became less and less available for Simpson's free use, so his 22 episodes are, generally speaking, more acoustic than electronic. Alas, the atmospheric nature of this music didn't compel me to transcribe anything from this season. Sorry. The end of the 1974 season was also the end of Jon Pertwee's 5 years as the Doctor, when he regenerated into Tom Baker. As an American Doctor Who fan, it's impossible to overestimate the importance of Tom Baker's portrayal on the program's popularity. Baker was the Doctor, the definite article, you might say, in the late 70s and early 80s on an increasingly large number of stations across the United States, mainly public broadcasting stations, PBS. It must have been about 1982, when I was 8 years old, that I first spotted the show, and I have vague but chilling memories of seeing episodes from Tom Baker's first few seasons on my local PBS station, KTCA, Channel 2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Although I've grown to love and admire all incarnations, you never do forget your first Doctor. Season 12 commenced just before New Year's 1975 with Robot, a story that neatly served to introduce the Fourth Doctor and also to put his time on Earth with Unit, driving around in Bessie, in a box, tied up with a bow, and set aside. Continuing companion Sarah Jane Smith is joined accidentally by a naval doctor, Harry Sullivan. The three take off in the TARDIS, not to be seen on present-day Earth until next season. The second story of season 12, and the first under the producership of the rightly lauded Philip Hinchcliffe, is entitled The Ark in Space. My next transcription comes from the opening minute of the opening episode. Part 1 fades up on a space station of some kind, hanging silently above the Earth, which we zoom in towards slowly but surely. Inside the station, we see a white, gleaming room with human-shaped, covered compartments, except we are seeing these things through someone else's eyes, or something else's eyes, or something else's eye. A green something else's eye. The green something opens one of the compartments to reveal a human, apparently comatose. Getting closer and closer, the scene ends with the creature seemingly on top of the helpless man. We cut back to a view of the station drifting in space, wondering, what nightmare did we just witness? This incredible music accompanies the nightmare, absorbed in the Ark. The arc in space, as you may know, concerns the Doctor, Sarah, and Harry materializing on what turns out to be an ark literally, housing the last surviving members of humanity in cryogenic suspension, thousands of years in the future. Unfortunately, they've been invaded by the queen of a swarm of insect-like aliens called Wirren, that, unless the Doctor and the waking humans can stop them, will eat them alive. This is the first story, credited to the new production team of producer Philip Hinchcliffe and script editor Robert Holmes, a team widely regarded as amongst the best that Doctor Who ever had. They wasted no time in offering what became a bona fide classic, a favorite of cast and crew alike, and highly rated at the time and today. For Dudley Simpson, this change of the guard probably meant very little. Apart from the occasional advance in music technology, his process of composing, recording, and overdubbing seems streamlined by this point, and his scores had settled into the now signature orchestration of clarinets, horns, tenor saxophone, mallet percussion, electric organ, and keyboards, and synthesizer. The three continuous scenes that this music accompanies are fairly easy to distinguish in the music itself. First, the opening strains, starting soft as can be, as we visually close in on the ark floating above the earth. Horns and tenor sax pulse steady, slightly crescendoed quarter notes, supported by timpani and keyboard, I think. These bass notes also beat in quarter notes, but nearly every measure ends with an extra eighth note pulse, and all sustain the same pedal note, F natural. The horn ensemble slowly expands its harmony. The leading line rises chromatically from F up to C. After the lead line arrives in the middle on A natural, a briefly pleasant major third of F, the tenor sax adds a dissonant G flat rubbing against the F, when the lead line continues its ascent. The final measure of this expansion settles, if that's the right word, on two pairs of half steps, a tritone apart. Underneath two extra beats of this harmony, we get two more eighth note pulses in the bass. Although there has been a crescendo, things are still very quiet in space. Notably, this introductory music is reprised twice in part 3, as the Doctor links his brain to the dead Wirren's brain, hoping to learn more about them, and the process nearly overwhelms him. Because these scenes relive elements of the opening scenes and hence use the same musical ideas, I considered incorporating these segments to make a larger piece, as I've done in the past. In practice, because the opening music is to me so brilliant, spine-tingling, and self-contained, and the later segments didn't have a satisfactory way to attach them to the opening music, I elected not to include them. As the scene dissolves through to the inside of the ark and to the green something eye view, the music explodes with synthesizer and electronics, nearly burying the acoustic ensemble beneath it. The synthesizer timbre throughout is made of a fundamental tone enriched by the perfect fifth and the perfect octave. In the first two measures of its part, the melody plays 4 notes, each repeated in quick succession, and on its own, suggesting the key of A major. This key seems to be reinforced by the expanding horn harmonies continuing into this new segment, rising again chromatically to C sharp, the major third. Another horn, probably the tenor sax, is pulsing a slightly dissonant G natural, the dominant 7th of A. Just at the end, before resolution, this G resolves up to G sharp, bringing it back into the A major scale. However, as you hear, this is not some beautiful, happy A major music. For this is Dudley Simpson, and this is Outer Space. This bright music is duly subverted by another carryover from the first segment. The F pedal has not stopped pulsing. So the A major is part of an F augmented harmony, while the F sharps implied in the synthesizer timbre make for a truly bitonal sound. As the F pedal finally shifts and the melody heads for a climax, the music resolves into the kind of otherworldly, enveloping harmony that gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. Added together, both chords are the same basic type, major 7, flat 5, or sharp 11, sort of the same note. The left-hand chords are quartal in nature, that is, made of stacked fourths. Much like the harmonic makeup of both the spacewalks from my previous 2 episodes, one is a perfect fourth, the other an augmented fourth. The melody slides down from G to D, an effect so fast I could not convincingly slide all 3 notes of the timbre, so I simply had to use the same effect as I did in Spacewalk 2, slurring only the top notes. As this delicious B-flat major 7 sharp 11 chord rings on, it's answered by an icy set of falling notes, played in 8th note triplets, by an electric keyboard probably doubled by another keyboard. The set of 3 notes start with a quintal structure made of stacked fifths. The top is a diminished fifth, and the top E flat clashes with the E natural and D natural of the harmony. The timbre of the keyboards here are very bright, so I elected to challenge myself and play these falling notes doubled at the octave, passing them from right hand to left hand within each set of 3. As these notes plummet down, they, in turn, are answered by the timpani, starting with a dissonant B natural and landing back on F yet again. The same pair of major 7 sharp 11 harmonies are repeated, with slight melodic ornamentation before the same resolution. This time, they are answered by a very different set of falling notes that more dramatically deny the harmony underneath. Starting with a set of perfect fourths, the final F sharp becomes the connecting pitch when the final 2 sets start on a different perfect fourth, but finish with a leap down to F sharp all the same. The timpani answers yet again, this time reversing the order of their notes, F, B. Here, the music briefly sounds like it's going to try a 3rd repetition, but the starting E flat major 7 flat 5 quickly heads in a different direction, while the melody shoots up chromatically from G to E. The harmony shifts each beat unexpectedly, generally rising but seemingly without pattern. As it peaks, the harmony explodes on a delectable octatonic sound, adding up to E7 sharp 9, a harmony heard repeatedly in parallel in the first segment of the Bessie suite. This climactic harmony is immediately answered by another icy set of notes, made of another quintal harmony, starting on G sharp, dropping to G natural. Here, because the left hand was needed to reiterate the harmony, the right hand had to do these sets of notes alone. As soon as these triplets finish, the same harmony rises in parallel for the final climax, peaking at G sharp 7, sharp 9. This harmony is sustained for a few measures, while the icy falling notes, now made of quartal harmony, alter their notes every measure. Starting at a consonant G sharp, the next measure decays down a half step, and the final plummeting sounds start on an equally dissonant E natural. This is the end of the absorption scene, and we cut to the final brief scene of the ark drifting away from us. The end of the previous music echoes in our ears for a bit, and there is a wash of white noise, which I represent by a quiet cluster of notes like a gong in the doldrums of the piano. This is left to ring while we hear two hollow notes ring out, and as they decay into the emptiness of space, the scene fades to black. I hope you were absorbed into episode 24 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. Next time, we'll be embarking on the first of a set of pieces regarding the possibly famous Doctor's theme. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. See you then.